Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here, coming at you with some more comic news. Right after I dropped yesterday's comic news, more comic news dropped. Kind of reminds me of back in the day when we had the old RR podcast and news would either drop the day after we recorded or when we were doing our post-recording chat. So it's just kind of funny on a smaller scale, but still, this kind of warrants its own video though to a degree. So we got an announcement for a third crossover between MMPR and TMNT. We've had two so far that have both been fantastic. Those have both been great, so I am definitely excited for this. You know, broken record if you've watched any of my content regarding this, whether it be reviews or news or even the figure reviews, but I'm so disappointed we aren't doing season 3 times. It makes sense it's still season 1 setting because the end of the second one left us on kind of a cliffhanger or a lead-in or a tease that there would be a third one. So it would make sense that you would have this like pick up right afterwards because it would seem weird to tease this team up between Shredder and Zedd and then be like, oh, 2 years later after they get the ninja powers. So this makes sense, and I don't know if they're intending this to be the last one, if we're going to continue, but if we get another one after this, like a fourth one, let's just go to season 3. And you know what? Let's do season 2 for 4 and do 5, just so long as we do that at some point. Like, somebody that's worked on this comic has to have thought about that at one point. I mean, MMPR has a ninja-based season. We do these cool hybrid designs. There's so much potential we could give the Turtles, like season 3 ninja outfits. You know, we could do something with the animals. I don't know. I just think it would be a missed opportunity at some point to not do this. Even if we have to do some timey-wimey stuff and have like the Rangers meet their future selves, I don't care. Just do something with season 3, because one of my favorite things about this is the hybrid stuff, and the fact that we have ninja-based stuff in MMPR is just too good of an opportunity to pass up. Not to mention, I talk about this all the time with, I'm honestly fine with them using MMPR for things because I understand it, but I do get frustrated that we always only use season 1. I'm like, you got 3 seasons at least, you got Thunder Zords, you got Ninja Zords, you know, the White Ranger, I think, while maybe not as popular as Green, is very, 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 very close, and he was in the movie, so I don't think you're going to lose out on sales if we have a crossover comic that has White Ranger Tommy instead of Green Ranger Tommy. So that rant out of the way, just hope we get to see that at some point. I hope that we do at least one more after this to capitalize on that. In fact, it would be great if this one kind of closed off this set of stories and then kind of left it, and then we do a time jump for them meeting again. Also, I couldn't help but think that I was disappointed we don't have Lightning Collection anymore because I want to get figures for the other designs we've missed out on from these previous crossovers and possible new designs from these. But then it made me think that we have Playmates Toys doing the MMPR toy line now and the main toys for the moment, and they also do TMNT. How great would it be if we could get some of the crossover toys from this? I think that that would be really cool. I don't know how many times they market like kids toy lines towards comics, because I know kids reads comics, but it's not like as popular as a thing as like TV shows, at least from my understanding. You know, I don't know things, I'm not a kid right now. But you know what I mean? I think that would be a perfect thing to try to sell for kids. You can obviously sell the comic, but I think just kids seeing it on the shelves as like this mashup would be really cool, and you have the wealth of the first crossover, the second crossover, and the third crossover for Zords, for Rangers. I think it would be really cool, especially since both TMNT and PR are under the same toy house right now. It would be really, really cool to get toys for this and the previous crossovers. But overall, I still am excited. I hope it's not very repetitive because, you know, these have been fairly formulaic, not in a bad way. I think that they are really great crossovers. They do a great job of blending the mythologies together and doing the cool hybrids where it's fan service, but it makes sense. They have great character interactions. They're not overcomplicated, but they're very well done. And they very much make it feel like these two worlds exist in the same world, and it's really well done. But I feel like it runs the risk of feeling a bit formulaic of like, okay, this time it's Zedd and Shredder instead teaming up and stuff like that. So I just hope that there is some surprises in here. I don't want it to get overly complicated because I think the beauty in these is they are simplistic, they don't try to overdo it, but I just hope there's something to differentiate this a little bit and just doesn't feel like a three-peat of the same stuff. But overall, I still am pretty excited for this. I forgot to mention it outright and had to put text over it for the release date for yesterday's, but the release date for this one is August 13th. So we're getting both the Robot Rita Rewind crossover and this in the same month. I kind of wish they spread it out a little bit. I feel like one of these should come out in July, just because then for the 3 main months of summer, you get a special release starting. I know this is different because it's not a one-shot, but it would be kind of nice because I think June we have the VR Troopers thing, then we could have one of these start in July and then have one of them for August, but that's just kind of a small nitpick. Thank God for the comics, you know, keeping us in Power Rangers content while we await announcement that the reboot has been canceled. But anyways, guys, are you excited for this? Do you hope, like me, that we eventually get to Season 3 content? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for all my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.